Melissa. In this video, we are going to do a little introduction to the Uninet 100 DTF printer. So this is an A3 Plus printer. It is 13 by 19 as far as the largest size DTF film it can print, and it has a lot going for it. It also has some things that I'm like, oh man, I wish that was different. So I'm just gonna, this is not a setup video. This is kind of a like FYI, hey, heads up type of video. First things first, what comes with it? So this is one of the only packages, only DTF desktop packages that comes with everything you need, including the ink. So most of the printers, whether that is a Roland or a Prestige, they don't come with the ink, which is kind of crazy to me. I've always said that's like a car coming without the wheels. Like, what, you need the ink, right? So the DTF 100 from Uninet comes with what is this? 500 milliliters of CMYK ink and white. Okay, so you get 5 containers this size. Now that's the good news. The bad news is this needs to be put into the printer with a syringe. And I'm gonna get more into that because that is honestly the most painful part of this whole thing. And I am going to tell you, once you start the setup, you might think, oh God, did I make the wrong decision? Once you start printing, you're gonna realize, no, I didn't, it was worth it. But the setup is really, it was one of the ones that I struggled with the most, and this is the 5th DTF printer that I have set up. Now, the good news is that this Uninet 100 comes with a masterclass. Okay, so the masterclass is broken up into modules, and so you can follow along to set up. I will say I don't know that it's 100%. There are some things that I feel like are missing, some important things. For example, when you take the Uninet 100 out of the crate that it comes in a very manageable crate, but when you take it out, this part of the printer is not attached to the printer. There's no tape keeping it all together. There is nothing except this like small cable bit that is actually the ink channels. And that is what is connecting this part to the main unit of the printer. And to me, first of all, I didn't realize it wasn't connected. And so when I lifted it up, the ink area kind of sagged down. And I feel like that pressure is really just asking for the ink lines to come disconnected from the ink jars that are in on this side, okay? And that's where you're gonna end up with leaks or spills or different things like that. So be very, very aware when you take this out of the crate that you hold the whole thing together and possibly even like tape it yourself, because it's not super big, as you can see. However, it's just awkward if this thing starts falling down. Secondly, it is going to come with 2 sets of power cords. I had no idea why 2 sets of power cords were coming with this thing. This actually needs 2 different power sources. You need one for the printer itself, and then you need a second, which is, this is part of it. You need the second part for the ink circulation system itself, which is this second part over here. Okay, so that's 2 different power supplies. If you do not plug in this area over here where the ink is, it's not going to circulate the ink. All right, it will do it automatically, but there's also a button there that you should press pretty much every day for about 10 seconds to manually get that ink circulating itself. And that was really going to keep the white ink from settling. If you know anything about DTF printing, which I assume you do if you're watching this video or considering getting into it, white ink is the biggest issue. You really have to stay on top of the maintenance. You really need to make sure that you're printing on a regular basis, meaning every day or every other day, to keep these things in good working order. Otherwise, it clogs the lines, it clogs the print heads, and you end up with a big problem. Okay, so let's talk about what else is with the printer. You get basically like the setup kit, which includes these swabs, some syringes. This also kind of doubles as a cleaning kit. I didn't bring over there's these 3 little bottles of cleaning fluid for the print head, the capping station, so you'll get all that. You will get the DTF transfer film. You will get powder. You will get ink. It all comes together. As I said, this is one of those printers that comes with everything you need, which is great. Now, other things you can add on are the curing oven, and then obviously the filter as well. Highly recommend that you get a filter because you've got this DTF stuff that's kind of going up in the air when you're curing that powder. The powder, these were printed on the Uninet 100. The powder is what goes on the back of the DTF. Once it's printed, the powder goes on the back and then it's cured, and that's what becomes the adhesive. So when you apply it to your shirt with your heat press, that it will stick to the shirt. Okay. The other thing that this comes with is CAD link. All right, that's the pro rip that you're gonna need. Now, it sounds intimidating, especially when you open it up, you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? It's actually very easy to use, and we'll get into that in another video. Finally, it is going to come, and I don't know where my paper is, but it is going to come with an envelope that says do not discard, and it has like 3 or 4 different activation codes on it. Those are things for CAD link. Those are things for the masterclass. Those are things for what's called WIC, which is the ink circulation system. So you need that, and you need to keep it so that you have everything you need when you're getting ready. Because I gotta tell you, the first time that I set this printer up, the stuff was every which way. I had to email, I had to, look in my email, I had to find it here, I had to download this. It was a very time consuming. They have since kind of streamlined this process and are providing one page with all of the information on it, and you're good to go. So, as I mentioned, the hardest part about this entire thing is putting the ink in, okay? It's not downloading the software. The masterclass does a good job of going through how to download the software, what settings need to be changed, and different things like that. It tells you, obviously, now fill the ink into the card. What it doesn't tell you is this is an extremely messy process. As I mentioned, this is the 5th DTF printer that I have set up. When I say it's close to torture, I felt like it was close to torture, and I didn't feel like I was exaggerating. Okay, now I will say that this white table is no longer white in the area that I was putting the ink in, because this ink process is extremely messy. I'm going to show you why. So, for one thing, the ink has to go into this side of the carriage. This is where the ink has to go. As you can see, it is connected to the printer. The ink has to go into these, but you are not able to flip this to its side. What you probably can't see, and I have a closer up shot for you, is that the ink, the holes where the ink has to go are on the side. Do you see the problem here? You cannot use any type of funnel or anything to pour the ink in, because the funnel would have to go this way. So what that means is get out your gloves, put on your patience, because this process is, like I said, close to torture. I may be exaggerating a little bit, but I really hated the entire process of it. And what I will tell you is, if you take 1 bottle of ink at a time, pour it into a smaller cup, and then use the syringe, it will go as fast and as neatly as possible. However, you cannot just use a regular syringe. You need to have a syringe that has this long tip on it. And the reason being is not just to get down into this bottle, or not just to get in here, but because you have to go into the side, like I said, of that little hole on the side, you have to be able to put the syringe in far enough to do that. Now, what it also means is you can only put 10 milliliters of ink in at a time. I'm not kidding you when I tell you this took me 30 minutes to fill this with ink, and I literally did the bare minimum amount of ink because I just wanted to get it set up so I could do, start doing some projects and tutorials with it, okay? So, I gotta say, at one point I was like, is this even worth it? Several of my other DTF printers have cartridges, obviously a lot less messy, but they come with a higher price tag. So you have to weigh what is important to you. Are you willing to get down and dirty with this thing, because that's what it is, to pay a lower price? Or do you want something that is going to be a higher price? For example, the Epson F2100 can basically print a similar type size, a little bit wider. However, it is $11,000. It comes with cartridges. It's very neat. It's very easy to set up, but you are obviously paying a higher price for that. The other thing that I will say is that the software does a lot of very intuitive things for you, so you don't have to do a whole lot. I want you to look at this design. Obviously, this design has a whole bunch of colors. It has a white border. Basically, this was originally a sticker, okay? So not only does it put white in the design itself, which is great, it also puts white on the back. But let's look at this. You can see it's not putting an even layer of white across the entire design. So in the areas where there's black, it's not putting as much white. You don't need it because it's gonna pop, the black color is gonna pop anyway. In the areas where you have the rest of the colors, the red, the yellow, the white, that's where it's putting a thicker layer of white. Okay, so I didn't do anything for this. This was basically using the setup that they went through in the masterclass. And so that's why I'm telling you that follow that to get set up and you'll be good to go. The things I'm pointing out in this video are things that I feel like were not emphasized enough in the masterclass, okay? Being the setup of the ink just being a real mess of a process. The fact that this ink area is not connected to the printer, even in the packaging. The fact that you have 2 different power sources. I felt like that was a little bit glossed over. Okay, so different things like that I just want to bring to your awareness. If you get into, you want to make sure that you follow the entire process of the masterclass, making sure that you do the initialization from the beginning, and that way your test prints will come out correctly. That way you'll be able to get going. I'm gonna do another video to show you a very first print, and actually is, like I said, relatively easy to do. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're looking to compare this DTF printer, the the Uninet 100 DTF printer to others, I have other videos as well. I will say that this is now among the lowest priced entry-level desktop DTF printers on the market, because Prestige, which was a pretty popular option for beginners, entry-level home type users, they have discontinued their A3 Plus model. So this is now going to be the sheet-fed option for desktop that's among the lowest price, okay? You're gonna get support from Uninet, you're going to get support from your reseller. Like I said, you have that masterclass, but it is pretty intuitive to use. Again, an option for people who are planning to print DTF regularly, okay? DTF transfers regularly. This is something for someone who's like, once a week, twice a month. No, if that's where you are, then look into a white toner printer, which I also have videos on, or consider just buying DTF transfers themselves, because you're gonna get into an issue where the maintenance just becomes too much to handle, and it's gonna ruin the printer, okay? All right, you guys, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Check out the rest of my videos on DTF, on sublimation, on silhouette, on all kinds of different things, white toner printer. And if you're looking for one-on-one help, I do offer that through Silhouette U. If you're interested in Silhouette U, or you're like thinking, maybe do I want it, we do offer a 7-day free trial, so check that out as well. All right, see you guys.